My name is Ryan Cole, and for the longest time, I believed love was enough. We'd been together for 4 years, and through every rough patch, every late night, every whispered, "I love you," in the dark, I held on to that belief. Her name was Elena, a gentle soul, warm eyes, the kind of woman who made you feel seen, even in silence. Life with her had rhythm: Sunday brunches, shared playlists, coffee runs, lazy evenings. We weren't perfect, but we were real. Lately, though, something fell off. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. Just subtle changes. The way she laughed a little less, the way she stayed glued to her phone late at night. How her hugs fell shorter. I tried to ignore it, convince myself she was just tired, stressed. Work had been rough for her, or so she said. But even the air between us had started to feel different. Heavy, like something unsaid was sitting in the room with us. I remember one night, lying beside her as she slept, her back turned. I reached out to hold her, but something in me hesitated. For the first time in years, I felt like a stranger in my own bed, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to break. The house felt different that week. I couldn't explain it, not even to myself. It wasn't anything dramatic. No loud arguments, no doors slamming, no silent treatment. But there was a shift in the air. The warmth between us had cooled, like someone cracked open a window and let in the winter air. Elena was still the same on the surface. She smiled. She cooked. She asked about my day. But her hugs were a few seconds shorter. Her kisses felt more like habits than expressions. Her phone never left her side, not even during dinner. She used to toss it on the counter while we talked or watched TV. Now it was either in her hand or tucked under her thigh like it held state secrets. I didn't want to be that guy, the paranoid boyfriend who suspects everything. But it's hard not to notice when love starts moving like a stranger in your own home. I told myself not to read into it. People go through phases. Work stress, hormones, exhaustion. Anything could explain the shift. And yet, I knew her. I knew her rhythms. I knew the way her eyes lingered when she was present with me, and how they darted when her mind was somewhere else. One night, I asked if she was okay. She said yes, too quickly, too simply. "Are we okay?" I asked, almost regretting it the moment the words left my mouth. She looked at me, startled. "Of course. Why would you ask that?" I shrugged, trying to play it off. "Just feels like something's off. Like, we're not fully here." She paused, then reached out and touched my hand. "Babe, you're overthinking." That was all she said. No follow-up, no explanation, just a pat on the hand and a change of subject. I nodded and let it go, but inside, something was unraveling. That night, I lay awake while she slept peacefully beside me. Her phone lit up twice around 2 a.m., buzzing softly. She didn't wake up, and I didn't look. But I wanted to. God, I wanted to. It started with the little things. Lila used to laugh with her whole body, tilting her head back, eyes wrinkled at the corners, her hand always finding mine. But lately, her laughter seemed rehearsed. Hollow, like she was remembering how to laugh, not feeling it. We'd sit on the couch like strangers, her eyes glued to her phone more than they were to me. I told myself it was work stress. I told myself she was tired. I made excuses, because that's what love does. It blinds you in the name of patience. Then came the nights she worked late. I never questioned it. Not at first. I trusted her. Or maybe I just didn't want to face the truth. But one night, I woke up and found the other side of the bed untouched. Cold. She came home at 3:14 a.m. No apology. Just a soft, "I'm sorry, babe." Work ran late, and a kiss on my forehead. And yet, something in her eyes, it didn't match her words. It didn't match the woman I knew. That was when the silence between us grew. Not loud, not angry, just distant. A kind of silence that wraps itself around your chest and tightens every time you try to breathe. I didn't know it yet, but that silence was hiding something. Something that would unravel everything I thought I knew about her and about us. I wish I could say things got better after that night, but they didn't. We settled into a kind of emotional routine. I'd come home, she'd be there, sometimes. Other times, she'd claim to be with her sister or staying late at work. I want to believe her. I really did. But the warmth was gone. Even her hugs felt like habits, not affection. The way she used to kiss me, eyes closed like she meant it, now felt rushed, distracted. I started watching her more closely, not out of jealousy, but fear. fear that I'd already lost her. And then the excuses began piling up. Why she couldn't answer my calls, why she left the room when texts came in, why she started sleeping with her phone under her pillow. We stopped having real conversations. She was present, but not with me. Her laughter, once easy and full of life, became rare and short-lived. We were two people living in the same house, but in different emotional worlds. Then one evening, as she showered, I walked past her purse on the kitchen counter. Her phone lit up. A name I didn't recognize popped up. Thinking of you. I froze. Not because I wanted to invade her privacy, but because I already knew in my gut something was terribly wrong. I didn't open her phone that night. I stared at the screen as the message disappeared, swallowed by the lock screen like a secret sinking beneath the surface. My chest tightened. My mind screamed, look, check, confirm what you already know. But something inside me, maybe pride, maybe fear, held me back. She came out of the shower wrapped in a towel, humming softly like nothing had happened. And maybe to her, nothing had. Maybe I was just losing my mind. But I knew better. The distance, the secrets, the coldness, it wasn't imagined. I tried to bring it up gently that night. Are we okay? I asked her as we lay in bed, the room dim except for the streetlight glowing through the blinds. She didn't answer right away. What do you mean? You've been distant lately. I just want to know if there's something you're not telling me. She sighed. That deep, dismissive sigh that makes you feel like you're the problem. I'm just tired, Jake. Work is overwhelming. Everything is overwhelming. I nodded. I didn't push. But deep down I knew. Something was happening behind my back, and the woman I loved was slipping through my fingers like smoke. I had two options: confront her, or find out the truth myself. And that night, lying in the silence between us, I made my choice. The next morning, I woke up long before she did. I just lay there, watching her breathe, memorizing the curve of her face, the rhythm of her chest rising and falling. I hated that I still loved her, even while suspecting her of betrayal. That's the worst kind of pain, loving someone who might already be gone, just not brave enough to admit it yet. She stirred, rolled over, and mumbled, "Don't forget to pick up the dry cleaning." Not good morning. Not I love you. Just a task. An errand. That's what I'd become, an assistant. A placeholder. The moment she left for work, I stood in the kitchen holding her phone. She'd left it charging, screen face up. My hand shook as I picked it up. It was still locked. But something strange happened. I remember the password. She had once used the last 4 digits of her childhood home phone number as her PIN. She told me during one of our late-night chats when we were still in love, when she trusted me. I tried it. Unlocked. It felt like I'd opened a vault. There were no wall photos. No romantic messages. At first glance, everything seemed normal. But I knew what to look for now. There was a hidden folder in her photo gallery, titled Travel. I clicked. Inside were pictures of her, at restaurants, in a hotel room, in a car I'd never seen, with a man I didn't recognize. And in one of the selfies, she was kissing him. Her eyes closed, lips tender. It wasn't old. The timestamp said last week. My vision blurred. My ears rang. I didn't know if I was angry or heartbroken or both. But I knew the truth now. She wasn't just drifting away. She had already left. I placed the phone back gently, like it was made of glass. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just sat on the floor, surrounded by the quiet ruins of the life I thought we were building. This wasn't going to end with just heartbreak. This was the beginning of something else. Something darker. That evening, I didn't confront her. Not yet. She walked in like she always did, heels clacking against the hardwood, coat draped over her arm, eyes tired but cold. She greeted me with a peck on the cheek, the same kiss she gave when she wanted to avoid conversation. She didn't know I'd seen everything. She didn't know she'd already destroyed something she couldn't fix. We sat on the couch watching a documentary she picked. I didn't hear a single word. My mind was elsewhere, circling around questions like vultures. Who was he? How long had been going on? Was it about love or lust? Or had I just become invisible? Her laughter at something on the TV pulled me back. It was sharp and careless. God, she was good at pretending. I studied her. The way she sipped wine. The way she didn't look me in the eye. She was already living a double life, and I was just furniture in her world now. But something shifted inside me. This wasn't just pain anymore. It was awareness. I stopped begging in my head. Stopped imagining reconciliation. Instead, I started observing, calculating. If she could live a lie, so could I. Over the next few days, I became meticulous. Careful, distant but not cold. I wanted her to feel like nothing had changed. I needed her guard down while I gathered more. I set up a voice-activated recorder in the living room, installed a hidden camera in the study, where she always took her work calls. Checked her email from my laptop while she showered. I became someone I didn't recognize. But I didn't care. She had turned me into a stranger to myself, and now I was learning to live as him. What I found, it wasn't just cheating. It was layers of betrayal. Bank transfers to a name I didn't know. Conversations in code. Mentions of a move and final plans. I didn't know what it all meant yet, but it was bigger than sex. Bigger than infidelity. She was planning something, and whatever it was, I was going to stop it. Not for her, but for me. For the man I used to be, and the one I was about to become. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, the dim glow of the streetlight casting shadows that danced like ghosts across the room. She was beside me, fast asleep, peaceful, even. That made my stomach turn. I kept replaying the recording from earlier that day. Her voice, soft and hushed in the study, saying things like, "1 more week?" What was happening in 1 week? The audio wasn't crystal clear, but the tone was enough, secretive, careful, like someone laundering a lie too long told. I remembered the recent withdrawals from our joint account. She called them emergencies. I didn't question her. I trusted her. God, I was so naive. I opened the hidden camera footage. It showed her taking a call, and then pulling something from behind the bookshelf. A brown envelope. Thick. She tucked it into her handbag without hesitation. That wasn't just casual cheating. That was planning. That was premeditation. By morning, I had gone from hurt to haunted. I didn't just want answers anymore. I needed them. She made coffee and handed me a cup with that familiar smile. I returned the smile, steady and warm. "You okay?" she asked. "You've been quiet lately." "Just tired," I said. "Work's been intense." We both lied, sipping coffee like everything was fine. After she left for the day, I tore through the house. Carefully, meticulously. I knew she'd hidden something. I just didn't know where. And then I found it. In the vent behind our bedroom dresser. A burner phone. Still powered on. Still logged in. Messages from the same number. Money? Leave? Make it messy? My hands trembled. But not from fear. From fury. She wasn't just planning to leave me. She was planning to ruin me. I stared at the last message again and again until it burned into my mind. He won't chase if you make it messy. So that was the plan. Make the breakup ugly. Make me look like the villain. And disappear with everything we built. But she underestimated one thing. I wasn't the man she thought I was anymore. And I wasn't letting her go down that road without me standing in her way. The burner phone sat heavy in my hand, like a grenade without its pin. I stared at it, rereading the messages, trying to absorb the full weight of her betrayal. It wasn't just infidelity. It was calculated. Cold. A deliberate attempt to destroy everything we'd built together and take what wasn't hers. She was going to leave me and take everything. That night, I didn't confront her. I didn't rage or throw accusations. Instead, I watched, observed, learned. She'd become too comfortable, too sure of herself. She thought I was clueless. Maybe I had been, but not anymore. While she showered, I cloned the burner phone's data onto my laptop. Every message, every call log, every voice note. I transferred them all into a secure folder named Proof. And then I started planning. If she was going to make it messy, I would make it cleaner and louder. I knew our friends would believe her first. She had always been charming. I was the quieter one, the workaholic. She had already begun planting seeds of doubt in their minds, saying I'd changed, that I didn't make time for her, that I'd become distant. But I had the truth. And soon, everyone else would too. I spent the next 3 days pretending, loving her with the same hands that shook with betrayal, laughing at her jokes, kissing her forehead at night. Meanwhile, I was meeting with a lawyer, securing my accounts, making backups of the phone data, and hiring a private investigator to trace the unknown number. And then it happened. The night I came home late, on purpose, I found her on the phone, whispering again, back turned. I recorded it from the hallway. Crystal clear. I didn't need more proof. I had a confession. That night, as she slept beside me, I felt a numbness spread through me. This was the woman I loved, the one I wanted a future with. And here she was, conspiring against me. I stared at the ceiling again, just like before, but this time I wasn't lost. I was ready. If she wanted to ruin me, she should have made sure I was already dead inside. Because now I was done playing nice. Friday came faster than I expected. She moved around the house with rehearsed normalcy, making breakfast, humming under her breath, even packing a small weekend bag and saying she needed some time to think at her sister's place. I nodded, playing along, knowing full well that her sister lived states away, and she wasn't going there. What she didn't know was that I'd already canceled her flight and redirected the bank alerts to a private account. The money she thought she'd withdrawn to start a new life with someone else? Frozen. The second apartment she'd secretly leased terminated. The walls were closing in on her, and she didn't even know it. But I wasn't doing it out of spite. No, this was survival. She was trying to bury me, to take what I'd spent years building and throw it away like it meant nothing. Like I meant nothing. At 2:47 p.m., she kissed me on the cheek and told me she'd be back Sunday night. I nodded. You too. And as soon as she left, I followed her. I wasn't alone. I had hired someone to record everything from a distance. My private investigator, James, sat in an unmarked black sedan 2 cars behind hers. I tailed a safe distance. We tracked her to a boutique hotel just outside the city, far enough to hide, but close enough to return home without suspicion. She wasn't meeting her sister. She was meeting him. Through the camera lens, I watched her wrap her arms around a man I'd never seen before, mid-40s, flashy, and smug. He pulled her in, kissed her deeply, like they'd done this 1,000 times before. I wanted to scream, to storm in and demand answers. But I didn't. Instead, I recorded. I watched her betray me in real time, and I documented it. Later that night, I sat in our home, my home, and compiled everything. Screenshots, voice recordings, surveillance footage, financial documents. It was a portfolio of heartbreak, printed and organized in a sleek black folder. But the cover just said, "To whom it may concern," because I wasn't just planning to confront her. I was planning to end it on my terms. In my own way. I had already invited her parents for dinner Sunday night. I wanted them all to hear the truth together. Sunday evening arrived like a storm hiding behind calm skies. I lit candles, set the table for 4, and opened a bottle of wine she liked, Merlot, something she used to say reminded her of her early years. I even cooked, not out of love, but for the performance. This was going to be a dinner none of us would ever forget. Her parents arrived first. They were warm, unsuspecting. Her father clapped me on the back and joked about finally getting a chance to eat my cooking. Her mother brought a pie. I smiled, thanked them, and poured wine like everything was perfectly fine. Then came the sound of the front door unlocking. She walked in, makeup flawless, wearing a modest dress. She wasn't expecting them. Her eyes darted from me to her parents, and for a moment, she looked like a deer caught in headlights. We all sat, chatted, ate. I could feel her watching me, confused by my composure. I knew she was wondering if I'd found out, if her entire double life was about to explode right there at the dinner table. She was right. After dessert, I stood up. I know this is unexpected. I began, but there's something I want to share with everyone. Something that's been weighing on me. She tensed. Her mother looked at me with concern. Her father sipped his wine. I walked to the hallway, picked up the black folder, and placed it on the table in front of her. I opened the folder slowly, 1 page at a time. Photos, receipts, flight bookings, hotel surveillance stills. Her with him, laughing, kissing, planning. She gasped. Her parents turned pale. "Is this true?" her mother asked, her voice shaking. She didn't answer. I kept going. I read the messages aloud. "Can't wait to start over with you. He suspects nothing. Soon I'll be out of this fake marriage." The room was silent. And then I ended it with, "She broke down, pleaded, swore it wasn't what it looked like." But her parents weren't looking at her. They were looking at me, with a kind of sorrowful respect, like they knew they'd just watched something shatter that could never be rebuilt. I walked away from the table, leaving her to explain to her parents who she'd become. She came into this house as my wife. She left as a stranger. The house was quiet, too quiet. For the first time in years, I could hear my own breath. The soft hum of the refrigerator. The distant barking of a neighbor's dog. All the things I had tuned out for so long were suddenly louder than ever. because the one voice that had filled my world was gone. She left that night with her mother. Her father stayed behind a few minutes longer. He didn't say much, just placed a firm hand on my shoulder and muttered, "You didn't deserve that." Then he left too, closing the door gently behind him like he didn't want to disturb the rubble. I stood there for hours. Just stood, looking at the folder I'd used to destroy my own marriage. This wasn't how I thought it would feel. I thought exposing her lies would give me relief, closure, power. But all I felt was hollow, like I'd just survived a war I didn't volunteer for. The next few days were a blur. I didn't go to work. I didn't return calls. Friends who saw the post I made later that night, one simple line, "The mask always slips," started reaching out. Some were shocked. Others admitted they had always suspected something. None of it mattered. The truth had already carved its way through everything I once believed. On the third day, she texted me. I stared at the message for nearly an hour before replying. I did all the talking. You did all the pretending. And then I blocked her. But blocking someone doesn't mean you stop feeling them. Doesn't mean the memories don't crawl out at night and curl up beside you in bed. I would wake up thinking she was still there. For a split second, I'd expect her laughter from the bathroom or the sound of her keys at the door. Instead, silence became my new partner. I started therapy. At first, I didn't even know what to say. But slowly, week after week, the words came. The pain surfaced, and I began to realize I wasn't just grieving her betrayal. I was grieving who I had been with her. Because loving someone who never existed is its own kind of death. And I had to learn how to live again without her ghost. Even after weeks had passed, her presence lingered like perfume on an old shirt. Faint, but impossible to ignore. There were reminders everywhere. The coffee mug she always used, still sitting in the cupboard like it belonged there. A single strand of her hair tangled in the bedsheets I hadn't had the strength to wash. A playlist she made still queued on my Spotify, randomly shuffling into our song when I least expected it. The first time it happened, I sat on the floor and let it play all the way through, tears silently tracing down my face. I wasn't crying for her. I was crying for me, for the fool I had been, for the man who had poured every ounce of himself into someone who saw love as a game of survival. She didn't love me. She needed me. And when I was no longer useful, she began building her escape route with lies and laughter. The kind of betrayal that cuts deepest isn't loud. It's quiet. It's the soft deception you never see coming. The one that wears your trust like a second skin until it sheds it and leaves you bleeding. But I refused to let her be the final chapter of my story. I started running again. At first, just a block. Then 2. Then miles. I poured the ache and emotion, letting every drop of pain drip into the pavement behind me. I repainted the living room. Not because it needed it, but because I needed something to look different. To feel like this space wasn't haunted anymore. I unfollowed mutual friends. Not out of bitterness, but for peace. And slowly, breath by breath, I began reclaiming my life. Not in dramatic leaps, but in quiet, stubborn steps. I didn't need closure from her. I needed forgiveness from myself. Because staying in a lie for too long makes you question everything. Your judgment, your worth, your sanity. And that's the cruelest part. When someone breaks your heart so gently, you don't even realize it's shattered until you try to hold love again. It came unexpectedly, an email with no subject line. I almost deleted it, thinking it was spam. But when I saw her name in the sender field, my heart skipped a beat I wasn't proud of. I clicked. "Jake, I don't expect you to read this. But if you are, I'm sorry. I really am. I don't know what I was looking for when I started hiding things from you. Maybe it was attention. Maybe it was escape. Maybe I just didn't know how to be loved the way you loved me. Asterisk, you were too good, too steady, and I was still addicted to chaos. I don't want you to hate me. But if you do, I understand. Maya asterisk." I stared at the message, fingers frozen over the keyboard. No apologies could rewrite the months of deception. No words could undo the cracks she'd left in my chest. But still, reading that gave me something I didn't realize I needed. The truth, even if it came too late. I didn't respond. Not because I didn't have words, but because silence was my closure. My healing didn't require her guilt. It only needed my peace. And peace wasn't found in conversations, or revenge, or even understanding her choices. It was found in letting go. That night, I walked to the bridge we used to visit in the early days. The same one where she once told me she could see forever in my eyes. I stood there for a while, hands deep in my pockets, the wind cold on my face. Then I whispered one final goodbye into the night sky, turned, and walked away without looking back. Forever deserved better.